Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-fiance's best friend that he needs to live negative impact he played in ex-fiance's misery? Plus update. Original story. I, 30 female, am here because the people I'm closest to that I would usually go to for advice are a little too close to home and biased towards me to give a neutral perspective. I'm going to give some backstory for context first, and if there are more questions, I will try my best to clear things up. Backstory. I was engaged to my college boyfriend Mike, 30 male, and was really happy. What I wasn't happy about was his friendship with childhood friend David, 30 male. The guy was an obnoxious and often rude jerk who likes to play pranks on people. It seems like the more inappropriate or the more people tell him not to prank them, he'll take it as a challenge and either target them more or pretend that he's about to prank them just so he can watch people be anxious over it. I couldn't stand the guy, but was willing to tolerate him. When Mike said that David would be his best man, I was against it, got into a fight, but I relented. During the objections part, David spoke up and said he couldn't let his friend marry a cheater. He even went as far as to hire someone to be a fake AP. I ran away in tears as David laughed. I barricaded myself in the bathroom, bawling my eyes out and refusing to let anyone in. I could hear Mike knocking on the door saying that David confessed to it just being a prank and that he knows I wouldn't cheat. But that didn't make me feel better. I heard my sister and best friend Jane, 31 female, calling me out, and I crawled out and left. I called my parents and grandparents apologizing for the whole scene and told them that the wedding was off, and I planned to never speak to him again either. Fast forward a few months later, and Jane confessed that before the wedding, she had a one-night stand with David, was pregnant, and going to keep the baby. She was so remorseful about the situation, and after I had my space, I told her that it would be okay and that I'm still her friend. Jane named me as the godmother of her son Tommy, 7 male, and he's a little cutie. He calls me Annie, and Mike, who David named as the godfather, Uncle Mike. And I will say becoming a dad made David a better person. Although I'm never going to like him, and I guess Mike never got over me, and David feels super guilty and wants us to get back together, but I have refused. When Tommy's birthday was coming up, David tried to use that as an excuse to get me and Mike to talk to each other, but I shut that down. I even opted out the last minute with an illness excuse. David sent me a long text about how disappointing I was for not being able to put my past aside for Tommy's benefit, and I took exception to that. We went back and forth a little, and I told David that Mike and me are over, and that he just needs to live with his role in any negative impact that the wedding caused on Mike. David claims he's just trying to fix things between us, and that I'm being petty. I thought nothing of it at first, but now I'm starting to wonder, am I the a-hole? Now for the top of comments before reading the small update. Commenting again because I truly don't understand how people are thinking she's the a-hole for cutting Mike off. Clearly, Mike was turning a blind eye, enabling his friend's behavior the entire time. She didn't want him as the best man because she feared this exact situation. But Mike said screw it and made him best man anyway, putting him in a position in the wedding party to achieve ultimate damage. Her future husband ignored her concerns, thoughts, and feelings, and probably had been doing so whenever she brought up David's behavior, and simultaneously enabled David's lunatic-level actions. Why in the fresh living hell would OP want to be married to that? Literally this. Also, Mike is still friends with David, so go figure whose side Mike took yet again. Thank you, David, for once again interfering in my relationships. You couldn't let it rest for one day. Instead, had to humiliate me in front of all my friends and family. Mike chose to laugh with you at my expense and pain. May you learn to STFU in the future, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Man, I'd be livid if I was you. An ex-fiance's best friend who totaled your wedding over a stupid prank calls you petty because you didn't want to speak to your ex-fiance? At that point, I'd go to the party to drop off a gift for the kid, say some words to the party boy and Jane, and then power walk out of that place faster than Lightning McQueen. Yeah, I had to retrieve and replace my eyeballs when I read that he called her petty. OP, you are so not the a-hole. Though you may be thanking him someday for saving you the misery of being married to his enabler. I wish you well, Queen. Now for the update. Edit/update. Hey, had to step away, but I see some comments and gotten some messages inquiring about the same/similar things, so I will reiterate, elaborate, and clear some stuff up. 1. David and I were never friends and never will be. I tolerated him for Mike back then, and I'm tolerating him for Tommy now. 2. Jane and David were never in a relationship. It was just a one-night stand that resulted in a child. 3. When Jane first told me I was quite upset and didn't speak to her for a while, but managed to patch things up. 4. David's prank was the most humiliating moment of my life, and part of me blamed Mike for it because he insisted on David being his best man, and that's why I ran away. 5. For days, Mike tried to reach out through his friends and family, but I ignored him. 6. Once it became clear that I wasn't coming back, Mike did temporarily cut David off, but they did manage to patch things up. Don't know why or how. 7. When Tommy was around 2, David did apologize to me for his prank. It felt sincere. 8. Since the wedding and Tommy's birth, I've never seen nor heard of David doing pranks again. 9. Jane has tried to set up boundaries between David and me on my behalf, but she can only do so much, and I don't blame her for it. 10. David went through Jane's phone without her knowledge, and that's how he got my new number and texted me. Story 2. Me, 28 male, partner 31 female, attacked me for infidelity. Our daughter nearly got caught in the crossfire. Me and my partner have been together for just under 4 years. We met through a mutual friends gathering, and long story short, we had some chemistry and occasionally had sex. Then she got pregnant. After a lot of discussion and back and forth and asking for advice, we decided that we were going to keep the baby and try and turn our friendship into a real relationship. And for the most part, we were successful. I know having a baby to strengthen a bond is stereotypically a bad thing, but I feel that when we were both sharing a responsibility, we were able to see and bring out positive aspects of each other that we didn't even notice before, which is why I fell in love with her. But there has been an issue that's followed us ever since the relationship began, her insecurity. Apparently, she has a checkered past when it comes to being cheated on, which I was completely understanding of. She gets deeply insecure that I'll leave her or cheat on her with another woman, even after 4 years. Over time, it has gotten significantly better, but I still have to deal with the occasional interrogation once or twice a week. Recently, I was laid off. I'm super embarrassed about it, and I don't feel good about staying around the house waiting to hear back on job applications. So I've decided to make myself useful and get around to the chores I've let stack up due to being busy. I've been cooking to the best of my ability, cleaning, and doing our laundry for the better part of a month now. Around 2 days ago, I took it upon myself that until I get a good job offer, I would pull our daughter out of daycare and watch her myself since I was home anyway. I figured it would save money in terms of gas and daycare expenses. My partner drops her off on her way to work, and I usually pick her up, so I felt like saving ourselves the trip would be valuable in of itself, but I made this decision without telling my partner. I'm going to be honest, I wanted to surprise her and to show her that I'm still doing the best for us even if I'm not working. So I wanted her to come home and see her daughter perfectly taken care of by her man who's still contributing even if it isn't money-wise. I was extremely excited to spend a day at home with my daughter and present my wife with her happy and smiling. So on her last day of daycare, I did some light cleaning and then picked her up earlier than usual. How it used to work is my partner would come home before I picked up my daughter from daycare after work, and now that I'm unemployed, my wife still comes straight home and I leave to get her. Since I have to leave to pick her up a few hours after she gets home, we use that gap between my wife coming home and me leaving to the daycare as time to spend with each other in peace. This time, since I picked up our daughter early, there would be no gap and my partner would be met with our smiling daughter as soon as she got home. Or that was the plan. Unfortunately, my daughter was tired around 45 minutes to an hour before my partner typically makes it home, so I let her sleep in her bed alongside me. I figured it was just as cute as her waiting to greet mommy at the door. My daughter loves to sleep under blankets. She's oddly particular about it, and no matter where she sleeps, she has the blanket over her head. So me and my daughter were laying side by side while she was under the blanket completely covered. I'm sure you can guess where this is going. My partner got home and I waited with anticipation for my partner to come to the bedroom. She got there, saw my daughter under the blanket, and immediately picked up a lamp and threw it at us, not recognizing it was my daughter in the bed. Thankfully, the lamp hit me and not our daughter. I blocked most of the impact with the blanket, but the bulb still broke. My partner recognized nearly immediately that it was our kid, but the damage was done. My daughter was wailing and the glass from the lamp was all over the blanket. I was pissed. I yelled at her and basically banned her from the bedroom for a bit while I calmed down our daughter. My partner apologized immediately but kept shifting the blame to me. I'm sorry, but why wouldn't you tell me you were pulling her out of daycare? I was wrong, but you can't be surprised how I reacted when you hid things from me. I shouldn't have done that, but we should focus on the fact that daughter's name isn't hurt. I genuinely apologize for not discussing pulling my daughter out of daycare with her. I did not add a but, an if, or assign any blame to anyone else but me. I took responsibility, yet my partner is incapable of doing the same. She will not admit that she shouldn't have reacted like that unless she assigns blame to me as well. And that's exactly how she told the story to all of her friends / her family, stressing the fact that I kept a secret from her and glossing over her throwing a lamp at us as much as possible. I told her that this bothered me, and she says that since what she did was only in reaction to what I did, that blame cannot be placed fully on her since I technically had no reason to lie and she had a reason to not know it was my daughter under the blanket. I'm still upset. I just want a real apology. Has anyone else experienced this? And what are the ways I can get her to admit she's wrong? Now for the top of comments. I still have to deal with the occasional interrogation once or twice a week. That's not occasional, and it's so far from healthy or appropriate that I don't know what to tell you. She absolutely needs to work on her previous relationship trauma because she's regularly emotionally abusive. Even if you had been cheating, her response of throwing a lamp was out of order. It also wasn't smart of you to make a unilateral decision about childcare changes, but that's a separate issue. This is not something she needs to work on. This is something he needs to get his daughter out of the line of fire of forever. So let me get this straight. Your abuser attacked you, victim blamed you, and then lied to your friends to make you look like she was a good person for physically assaulting you in front of your child. Men are victims of DV too, and it's highly underreported because of the manipulative behavior like hers. The innocent little me gets a pass on assault because I was just sticking up for myself routine. If she's not willing to go to therapy, I'd end it on the spot. Your daughter is going to need examples of what healthy relationships look like. Please do not expose her to a lifetime of this. Holy bleeping crackers, your partner is unhinged and physically abusive. She could have killed her own daughter, and she's refusing to take responsibility. I'm sorry, but this would be a deal breaker for me. It's one thing to have some insecurities that occasionally bubble up in a relationship, but it's another to interrogate your partner multiple times per month for years. Unfortunately, you can't get her to admit that she's abusive. You can only draw boundaries for yourself. If you aren't prepared to leave her, and for the record, I think you should, plus hire a lawyer ASAP, then at least start refusing to participate in her weekly infidelity interrogations. If she won't go to therapy, then you should, to figure out why you are putting up with her behavior. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.